Hello and welcome dear learners to the NPTEL course on Healthcare Quality Management, Infection Control and Patient Safety. In continuation with the Module 2, we will be discussing on promotion of safety aspect in the chapter 17, where we will be having more discussion on leadership part, patient safety committee, using system approach, checklist, reporting and improvements, hospital accreditation involving patients and families. Where in leadership, where we find the emphasis is giving patient safety utmost help the organization. Patient safety is the most important part of the healthcare, but we cannot guarantee good quality care because of the problems with the people in charge, especially the leadership, and issues with safety inside the healthcare system. So the way leaders and manager act affect the staff and the work they do and their work environments. So these things they change how good the clinical outcomes are for the patients. So there is a great equation between this. So leadership changes many parts of the healthcare work. Effective leadership is essential for communication, teamwork, situational work awareness, and even workload management, error prevention, decision making, and overall human performance. So these things together decide the quality of care that a patient receives. The people in the charge of the organization must make patient safety their most important promise. When planning budget, resources, staff training, performance review, they must think about patient safety. They need to clearly tell everyone and train all staff. This is the main job for a leader to watch, check, and learn from mistakes or bad events. Before they change any work method, start new programs, or build something new, they must check and make sure patient safety will not get worsened. They should look closely to all facts and the data. The organization needs to set up and follow specific patient safety goals. Next in line, we need to focus on the patient safety committee. The organization should create a patient safety makeup of senior staff from different areas such as surgeons, access specialists, nurses, quality control, lab, ICU doctors, engineers, pharmacists, and security people. So some hospital also ask patient and their family to join and share their ideas on this. This group will watch and check all patient safety work in the hospital. So their main focus is finding problem and making things less risky. So this is a constitution that I am trying to ask to develop a patient safety committee. The key task of this group includes creating and approving all the hospital regulation and steps for patient safety, or covering actually the patient care, building, machines, disaster handling, can be even medicine safety, surgical safety, moving the patients, clear communication among the staff. These all can be the task actually given to them. Telling people to train staff about patient safety and checking this training often happens. Setting dates for practice drills and using what they learn to improve the rules. Establishing patient safety goals based on national and international ideas and internal reports. Planning and running regularly safety checks audits in different departments and areas of the hospital. Finding dangers, clinical and non-clinical, and taking actions to fix them. Reading and checking reports from incidents, complaints, safety checks, and other places, which is very important for this committee people to take ahead. If a major serious issue happens, that is a sentinel event happens, they must tell the chair of the group and the head of the organization right away. Thoroughly analyzing a sentinel event and immediately taking actions to fix the problem is a necessity. Finding ways to make things better and less risky, that is improvement plans, and making sure these plans are finished. pushing doctors and nurses to use standard ways of treating patients. The hospital's quality management or quality management team can organize meeting schedule for all this. They could check who attends it, write the meeting notes, make the minutes of the meeting, keep track of actions to be taken. A senior leader, either a doctor or an administrator or a CMO, can chair the group. The hospital must follow the group's advice, which is very, very important. They need to check that all the plans are actually being put into practice. Every department in the organization must manage the safety problem that come up in their own work area. This is where we can find the hospital patient safety committee structure and reporting, where you find at the top the head of the hospital organization, that is the CEO, medical superintendent or medical director there. There come upon actually the patient safety committee, where you have the chairperson as a senior leader, quality manager, coordinator, representatives from different areas where it can be physician, nurses, laboratory people, pharmacists, engineers, facility head, HODs, security, and invited patients and patient's family member. What can be the inputs and what can be the output? The inputs can be incident reports, the complaints which are received, audits, national and international guidelines. The outcome or the outputs can be policy development, training programs, drills, set safety goals, monitor implementation, and working on all the pending issues. People from all clinical, all non-clinical, and all non-clinical departments can be there. People even can from the department of HR, IT, facilities, housekeeping, along with ICU clinicians, ER, OR, all can be there, which are very, very important to make the constitution of this committee. Using a system approach. What is this system approach called as? The idea of a system approach is not new one. In the early 90s, many areas including engineering and biology started paying more attention to system and how complicated they are. In healthcare, the year 2000 brought a big change. People started seriously thinking about using a system approach to the improvement. The World Health Report of 2000 focused on health system. This report made a remarkable change. This report looked closely at health system around the world. It began asking important questions about what makes a good health system and how to check that it is importantly working. Means like monitor its performance. These are the elements of a system approach where you find the people at the first, system at the next, design at the third, and risk at the fourth, where improving patient outcome is the importance of the part, where you find the people understanding of interaction among the humans and other at a system in order to optimize the human well-being and overall system performance. Where versus in the system part, this means to address complex and uncertain problems involving highly interconnected technical and social entities. In the design part, you need to work on identification of the right problem to solve it, creation of the solution options, and even refinemental the best of this to deliver the appropriate solutions. On the risk part, the management of what can be wrong, whether it is based on the idea identification or assessment and management of hazards and opportunities present the system. It is very important to set up standard ways of working and clear rule across the whole organization and not only fixed to one particular department. We need to focus on fixing the problem, the system, not just blaming the individual or an individual person. This approach will help keep people on track and put checks in place. Staff must receive complete training and team should watch patient closely with help of the supervisors and not only just making our own personal decisions. Using checklists should be normal part of the job. Teaching and guiding new staff is key for working well as a team. Regular clinical audits and system audit must happen. What is the importance of checklist? A checklist serves to help an individual or a team member verifying that all key actions have been completed. A checklist actively reduces the risk of missing steps, which can happen due to the complexity of task. Having too many responsibilities or simple memory lapses, which is very important that it has been taken as a lesson from all industries who have been using checklist primarily get a major benefit. The most important lesson that healthcare has learned with respect to checklist is from the aviation industry. For example, the surgical checklist has been demonstrated as useful in lowering the errors in the OT room. The actual checking step, which uses a timeout followed by necessary documentation, is a distinct process and which is very important. A well documented checklist where every item is marked off does not guarantee a complete evaluation unless it strictly adheres to the full process, such as universal protocol. The procedure itself needs to be considered a fundamental part of the surgical procedure, with the checklist functioning as both guidance and a record. Every staff member in the operating room must accept the responsibility and participate actively. Junior staff must not feel intimidated. They need to be confident enough to speak up. If they find any gaps or observe any process deviation, they need to be allowed to speak. Reporting of incidents and making improvement. The fundamental goal of reporting is to identify issues, learn from the mistakes, and subsequently not repeating but working and improving them. Simply reporting without making improvement holds no value. It doesn't work. Hospital staff are required to report any incidents. They are encouraged for that, including even the near miss event if they have encountered or they have seen it. They must occur within an environment that encourages openness and accountability. The report method itself should be straightforward and easy and without less hassles. A basic incident report form can be placed in all patient care area for easy access to all the healthcare employees. As alternatives to manual filling, online reporting tools are also accessible and are becoming very popular. Underreporting incident is a serious concern and the hospital need to take strong steps to reduce it. When an organization or a hospital shows a higher number of incidents are reported, this often signals improved openness in the organization, and you may find that the hospital is working towards quality rather than indicating poor quality. Periodic assessments of patient safety culture conducted through survey will help to evaluate this specific point and will give emphasis what is the thing which is lacking. Other sources for finding error must be looked into, such as mortality, morbidity, audits, length hospital stay, reviews of medical records, and patient complaints, which are very important. A real-time analysis of incidents conducted daily should be standard components of the leadership's operation role. This information can be reviewed monthly and quarterly. The results of these findings, which are coming from the monthly and quarterly basis, should be shared with the frontline staff. They should not be kept aloof out of all this information. Incident analysis is a crucial part. A pure review system needs to be established to look after these incidents. Hospital accreditation. Accreditations such as NABH, that is National Accreditation Board for Hospitals and Healthcare Provider, which is very popular in our country, provide a strong framework that cover all aspects of patient safety within a hospital. This standard is very popular in private hospitals, and for government hospitals we have NQAS. To achieve this recognition, the hospital must satisfy NABH standards. Nearly half of this standard focus on keeping patients and staff safe. It is equally benefiting the patient as well as even to the staff. These areas include disaster management, clinical care, training, infrastructure, and fire safety. Involving patients and their families. To improve transparency and gather useful feedback, many organizations now regularly seek inputs from patients and their family. They put emphasis more on the Rogi Kalyan Samiti. Families and patients are invited to join a patient safety committee to share their worries. Studies indicate when patients and their family are involved in the daily patient care activities and remain attentive to medication types and timings, as well as the fall prevention and risk can be avoided to larger extent. When they give complete histories, voice their concern, ask questions about care, or notice changes in their condition and inform the staff, they often value information that strengthen patient safety efforts. These actions have brought to light by many near misses, helping to stop potential adverse events and find errors early, including patients in their identification process and surgical site marking is already a standard procedure in most hospital patient safety procedures. Encouraging them to take part in the other areas such as medication administration and fall prevention can be a part of organizations' patient education effort, which is also very important. So, in summarizing this entire chapter, I would like to say that patient safety requires the organizational leadership support to treat its fundamental commitment. It includes integrating into budgets, resources, and staff training. And as leadership determines the quality of care and even affects the clinical outcome, which is very much to be emphasized over here. A system approach is crucial. It focuses on fixing the processes rather than blaming individuals. And the system should try to use the principles from the World Health Report 2000 to monitoring the system performance. The system performance which is to be improved. A patient safety committee which is a need for every hospitals to be formed, including the senior staff, sometimes patient and their families, which must to be established to oversee and monitor safety activities, which has a major work on to see of monitoring, and they need to see that this particular committee sets the goal, work on those goals. They also ensure to keep corrective actions. The corrective actions are taken, especially following a sentinel event if at all it has happened into the particular hospital, and just not waiting for incidents to happen one after the other. The checklist, like those like an example like a surgical safety checklist, are essential tools for verifying that key actions have been completed and for reducing errors and memory lapses. But their use must strictly follow the full process and the universal protocol. The primary goal of reporting incidents and near misses is to learn from the mistakes and just not as a record keeping. And subsequently, after the system is improved, which requires an environment of openness and accountability where staff are encouraged to speak up and about the process deviation. Sometimes you may find the staff knows many issues where you as an assessor or you as a third person or a person who is coming as an auditor will not know. Accreditation, especially like NABH, offer a strong framework covering all aspects of safety. Even it includes disaster management and clinical care. It gains recognition for meeting high safety standards. To improve transparency and gather useful feedbacks, organizations regularly seek input from patients, the inputs from their families also, inviting them to patient safety committee and involving them in daily care, which helps to avoid many risks. So emphasis on NABH is at one side, along with that emphasis on taking feedback from the patient and including patient and patient's family in the patient safety committee is also very important. So this way what happens, we try to create a culture of openness. We try to create a culture of accountability and which will allow actually the staff to participate, and they are the one who know major deviations, and the entire process the deviations can be reduced with the help of the staff. So with this I come an end to this chapter where I try to emphasize more on the part of the processes on patient safety, where the projects actually that you are working, you need to think on the practice part and the system approach which works with the help of the leadership, and the safety goals that your organization is planning to do it, which will be taken more possibly and effectively with the help of the leadership that you are working under the organization. Also, the accreditation part needs to be more fulfilled on not only on one incident occasion but on a continuous process. So thank you with this.